Hello my friends, welcome back. You're watching Making It Look Great number 5. My name is Maltanan, and in this tutorial I'm going to share a little technique with you that I developed for myself and that I find pretty useful and time-saving. As most of you, I've been watching some After Effects forums and portals and stuff like that, and I came across a lot of requests about karaoke scripts that would make the subtitles and basically make that task of putting text synchronized with your footage a little bit easier. And there are some solutions out there like scripts and stuff that use external files to create subtitles and such, but I found that a little bit of an overkill for like everyday tasks, because most of us don't do karaoke very often, right? But subtitles, all of us have to do from time to time. So in this tutorial I'm going to share with you a very cool preset that I created especially for easily creating and managing subtitles. So here we go. Let's just go ahead and create a new comp just like that. Let's make it like 30 seconds long, more or less, and let's just go ahead and create a new text layer. So right click, new text, and that's basically it. We don't have to do anything more. Let's just close this down, and let's just go ahead and zoom in a little bit, make some room here, and we have to drag the marker subtitles preset onto the text layer. And as you can see, it automatically tells you that you have to create some markers with comments inside, and we're actually going to use the comments to create subtitles. So now we can just position these subtitles the way we want them, and maybe add a little bit of drop shadow as well. Very small one, softness maybe 20 or so. Okay, that looks good. And for those of you who are interested how the outlines are created, because maybe you haven't worked with text that much, I have a font selected here that I find pretty nice looking. It comes with Adobe applications, and as you can see I'm using a stroke option in here, and I can set it to whatever I like. And the very important thing is to set the all fills over stroke, because I think the default settings are strokes over fill, and that would create this look, as you can see, depending on the width, on the thickness. And that would create this look, which isn't really nice and clear to read. So here we can set the width of the stroke, and basically the strokes are overlapping, they're on top of the actual letters. So what we want to do is we want to set all fills over all strokes, and that way we can be sure that the outlines stay behind the actual letters. So I think for the stroke width is just fine, and we added a drop shadow, and that's good. You'll also notice a slider here that is called timeout in seconds, and this is the parameter that controls how long you want a given subtitle to stay on screen until it disappears. So by default it's set to 0 seconds, and that will make a text appear only for 1 frame at a given marker. So let's just go ahead and let me demonstrate how this works. So basically I'm just moving in some specific place in time. I'm making sure that the layer is selected. I can also rename it Subtitles, and all I have to do is press Alt and the asterisk on the numpad, and that will bring our layer marker options. And the cool thing is that the focus, that the cursor sits already in the comments area. So here I can just type whatever I like. So let's just type in welcome to Making It Look Great 5, and hit enter on the numpad, and that way we are closing the window without even touching the mouse, moving the cursor and stuff like that. So this is actually pretty fast thing to do. So right now we see we have a multi-line subtitle, so we know that we can move them up just a little bit, and I think that's fine. And check this out, I'm going to move 1 frame forward, and as you can see the subtitle disappears. But if I set the subtitle timeout to, for example, 3 seconds, the subtitle will pop right back. And if it doesn't, don't worry about it. Just make sure that you have to go ahead and purge all, or basically just force the After Effects to refresh the comp window. because otherwise it doesn't actually know that the expression should, update the window or whatever. This is just a little issue with After Effects. It sometimes gets confused when heavy expressions are used to actually render something in the comp. But you can easily work around this problem just forcing After Effects to refresh the window. So as you can see right now, if I move to about 6 seconds, this subtitle is going to disappear. I just move 10 frames forward. And it should be gone somewhere here. Yep, and it's gone. And all you have to do to create a new subtitle, you just go into the specific place in time. Once again, press Alt and the asterisk sign on the numpad, making sure that you have the layer selected. So like that, and you just type in, isn't that cool? And then again, you've got just one line in the subtitles. And the great thing about markers is that you actually see where a given text is being shown. Of course, if you've got a lot of subtitles, this can be, a little bit overwhelming to control. But I find it very useful anyway, because most of the times, if I'm doing subtitles this way, I'm doing them for a very short clips, like maybe 4 minutes or 7 minutes. Anything longer probably requires some additional software to be able to handle the subtitles a little bit more easier and basically just, easier to work with. So just another pointer here. If you want to change the subtitle faster than after 3 seconds, you can just move in time and just create a new marker. Just create a next marker and say, yes, it is pretty cool. So right now it's going to be replaced and the previous subtitle is still there. So it is a very nice preset. I use it quite often. I actually created it because I had to use something like that like 2 weeks ago. So that's why I was looking for some ready-to-use solution on the forums, but I actually found creating my own expression much easier and faster actually. So okay, that's basically it for this tutorial. I hope that you'll find this preset useful. But anyway, for those of you who are expression geeks like I am, I'm going to explain how this preset works from the expression side. So just take a look. We're going to open up the modified properties here. And oh yeah, I know it looks scary, but just let me split it a little bit so we can see what's going on here. Okay, and let's do it like that and like that. Okay, so let's just go step by step. First, we are defining the timeout value, which we are getting from the slider, right? So this was just a regular pick whip thing. I just typed in timeout equals, and then I pointed to this value. Also, I'm adding 1 frame to this value, and that ensures that when the timeout is set to 0 seconds, you will be seeing the subtitle for 1 frame. Okay, so this is the timeout. Next, we've got the next time variable, which tells us when the next subtitle should appear. There are some expressions that allow us to actually access markers, their time, their index number, because markers are also indexed with numbers. So this is the first one, second one, and third one. And other than arrays, if you know what I'm talking about, the markers are indexed from 1. So once again, this is the first, second, and third marker. So basically this line tells us to take a look at the markers, then find the nearest marker based on the current time, because time keyword gives us the time in seconds of the current time indicator. So this fellow in here. So once again, we're just grabbing the nearest marker and then we're checking at what time this marker appears. So if we would be in here, for example, so the current time is set to 2 seconds and 2 frames. The nearest marker is this one, correct? And we're checking the time of this marker, which is 3 seconds and 11 frames. So next time variable holds 3 seconds and 11 frames if we are somewhere in this area. Next, let me just split it up again so we can see this a little bit better. Next, we are checking if the current time indicator is greater or equal the next time. So in other words, if we are past this marker, I'm assigning the index value of the nearest marker to a variable that I call indx for index, obviously. So once again, if the time is greater or equal to the next time, so to the time of the marker, so in other words, if the current time indicator is past this marker, I am putting to memory the index number of this marker. And in any other case, if the current time indicator didn't reach this marker yet, I'm setting the index to the same value, but I'm subtracting 1 from the value of this marker. This will be easier to understand if we move here, for example. If I'm here, I need to know whether or not choose this or this marker. Unfortunately, nearest key method, which we're getting the next time value from, always chooses the marker closest to the current time indicator. So in this case, it's still pointing to this marker instead of this marker. And this is the huge problem, basically. So I had to figure out a way to find the nearest marker, but on the left-hand side of the current time indicator. But we'll get to that a little bit later. In other words, if the time is greater than the next time, let's just move here, right? So now we know that the nearest marker is actually this one. So once again, if the current time indicator, which is 8 seconds in this time, is greater or equal next time, which is equal to this value, to the time of this marker, then we are choosing this marker. In any other case, we are choosing this marker, right? Clear? Okay, hope so. This is the part when we're choosing the nearest left-hand side marker, if I can say so. Now we've got two conditions here, which is a little bit tricky, but I'm sure you can understand that. Once again, I said the markers are indexed from 1, not from 0, right, like the RIs are. So I'm just checking if the index that I selected here is actually greater than 0, because if it isn't, if it's equal to 0, then we're going to get an error. So I'm just ensuring that the index is greater than 0. So this is a very simple condition. And then I'm going into something a little bit more complex. Remember that I had the timeout here in the seconds. So check this out. I'm checking if the current time indicator is less than the marker that I selected, the time of the marker that I'm selected, plus the timeout. So in other words, if we still have the subtitle visible, then I'm setting the subtitle variable, which is then displayed in the subtitles, of course. I'm setting it to the comment of the marker that I selected. And in any other case, I'm just setting it to an empty subtitle like here. And, and in any other case, which in this case is when the index is equal to 0, I'm also setting it to nothing. I know this is a little bit, maybe, just complex, but let me just split it like that. That will be easier to understand. Okay, like this. And then this one goes here. Okay, so now you see this. If the index number is correct, I'm doing all this. But if it's not, so if it's 0, then I'm setting the subtitle to nothing. Okay, but if it is correct, so the index number of the marker that I selected is larger than 0, then I'm checking if the current time indicator is within the time of interest. So from the time of the marker that I selected, plus the 3 seconds from the offset. And if it is, I'm setting the subtitle text, so the source text parameter, to the comment of the marker, like you saw. Oh, I hope that's clear. And next, and that's basically it. And all we have left is that since when you create a layer and you apply the expression, there are usually no markers on the layer, this would create an error. So there's a nice trick that is undocumented in any After Effects resources that I found so far, that we can actually try out this expression, and if it creates an error, then it doesn't cause After Effects to crash or show that there's an error. We can actually catch this error and then do something completely different. And what we're doing is we're setting these subtitles to create markers with comments. As you saw, when there are no markers, and by the way, if you want to delete the marker, you just have to hold Ctrl and click on the marker, it's going to say create markers with no comments, because all of this is generating an error because there are no markers that we are trying to refer to, right? So once again, let's just go ahead and create some markers. So Alt asterisk on the numpad, and well, I hope it wasn't too much. Anyways, even if it was, I hope that you will at least find this preset useful and that it will save you some time when you're doing subtitles. So, one more thing. You know what I like best about recording tutorials? I actually learn from them myself. It happened a couple of times that I had to watch my own free tutorials that I uploaded on my site to actually remember how I did something. And in this case, when showing you these subtitles, I actually realized that there's one thing that we can improve. And let me just demonstrate how this works. Let's just go ahead and create a new subtitle somewhere in here. So once again, Alt and the asterisk when the layer is selected. And let's create, yes, I know it was, but I thought it was cool anyway. Okay, and let's just click OK or hit Enter on the numpad. And as you see, now we got two lines of the subtitles, right? But the first one is on the top. And sometimes that's not right. Maybe you'd like them to be aligned to the bottom line at all times. And I actually think that I would like that. So what we can do to make this happen is that we need to just modify this expression a little bit. And this modification is only going to cover case when there are 2 lines maximum for your subtitles. If you've got 3, this is not going to work. We could make it work, but I don't want to get into it. I've explained the whole expression, so I hope that you can do it on your own, or you can just ask me by email or comment on my site or whatever. Just contact me even through Skype to ask some questions. I'd be happy to answer. So what we can do to improve this, we want to check if there is a new line character in the whole comment, in the whole subtitle of a given marker. And if there isn't one, then that means that we have a single line subtitle. And we want to add the new line on top of it, right? So in other words, this subtitle that says "this what's too much, dude," which I hope it wasn't, will actually become this. Correct? So this is what we are trying to do right now. Check whether or not there is a new line character in the whole comment of a given marker. And if there isn't, we want to add one on top. So let's just do that. Let's just go ahead and restore this comment to its previous state. So just go ahead and delete this and hit OK. And after all those stuff were, program expression or whatever you like to call it, after all this code, we need to now check if there is this new line character. And the new line character, if you're familiar with ASCII chars, is 13. I'm not sure if that's the same for Mac, but I think it is. I'm not a Mac user, so I couldn't know, but I hope it is. Let's just go ahead and check if subtitle, and now we're going also into the undocumented features of expressions. And we are going to check if there is a given char in the text. So if subtitle index of, and now we would go index of, for example, W, and that would give us the number representation of the position of the given char in the subtitle text. But unfortunately, we cannot put the new line character in quotes, so we actually need to use the char number, and we can do it like that. String from char code, and now we are putting 13 in here. Okay, so if index of new line character is equal to -1, so in other words, if there is none, we're going to add one on top. So we're going to say that the subtitle is equal to string from char code 13 plus the actual subtitle. And that should be it. Ta-da! And it works. And check out how this works. Very nice. And now all the subtitles are aligned to the bottom line. And we can even create a checkbox to turn this functionality on and off. So let's just go ahead and create a new checkbox. Checkbox. And let's just drag it in here and say align bottom. Okay, so now we can just go ahead and close this condition into one master condition that will just execute this line and check whether or not we have a new line character only when this checkbox is selected. So let's just go ahead and create a new variable for this checkbox, and let's just call it align equals oh, I don't have the pick whip, so I have to turn it on. We're going to get an error probably, but that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, let's just point to the checkbox. That's nice. Okay, and let's just go here and say we can close this down. Let's just go ahead and say that we want to execute this only when the align value is equal to true. So if align equals true, then do this. Okay. Okay, seems to be working. Let's just check this checkbox here. Haha, very nice. Okay, guys, so as you see, there's always something new to do, something new to learn, something to improve, and I hope this is the most important lesson that you're going to take home with you after this tutorial. So never stop thinking about improving your workflow. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me by email, by comments on my site, or my hotline, where you can use Skype to contact me directly and do a voice chat and a video conference and whatever you want. So once again, my name is Moltanen, and this was Making It Look Great number 5 subtitles tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it. See you in the next one. Happy After Effecting.